Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
Well, we roar into Week 12. The Bears host a surprising 8-2 Vikings at Soldier Field Sunday at noon. Good to have you alongside with Bears Super Bowl winning guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up, we visit with second-year cornerback Terell Smith in the ESPN studio. Spin of the Dows tonight. We thank Kendra Smith. Thanks to our producers, Dan Brilli and Jordan Tredup from the Bears. And the executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. Tom, good evening. I'm trying to get a feel for exactly who these Vikings are, and I can't quite figure them out. I know they're very talented defensively. Sam Darnold's having a big comeback player of the year type of moment at quarterback. Or maybe should put it in the category of comeback career moment for Sam Darnold. Has bounced around a lot. And they've got Aaron Jones and they've got Justin Jefferson. And, boy, they've ripped off some nice wins.
But you know what's great about that, Jeff, and I'm glad that you bring all that up. But look at the reverse side of it. Minnesota Vikings are trying to do the same thing with the new led on offense Chicago Bears. There's not the analytics. There's not the tendencies. You don't understand how the offensive coordinator thinks. You see the offense being able to play a better brand of football. What we know about the Minnesota Vikings is they're willing to take chances at the defensive line of scrimmage. They're going to show you more bodies than you think you're capable of blocking, but they're only going to bring a certain number of those because they still have to have coverage responsibilities. And then on offense, Sam Darnold started his career really failing to live up to where he was drafted and the hype surrounding him coming out of college. He's had a resurgence at the beginning of this season, but you don't know how long it'll last. That's what's the great thing about this upcoming game. There's so much of the unknown that's gonna go into this game that it's gonna be a great game on the lakefront to watch on Sunday afternoon.
Here's my theme this week, Tom. Have some fun and make a run. What do you got to lose? You got 7 games, man. Let it rip.
I love it. I do. Let it run. Is that Caleb running for first downs? Is that the running game running for first downs? Is that the Bears as a team making a run down the home stretch here? There's so many different ways that you can look at it. And after thinking about this game for a week and what the Bears did on offense last week, I think there's, some concern up there in Minnesota just because they don't have analytical proof on what the Bears are going to come out and try to do, attempt to do, and can do.
Tom, in your opinion, what did Caleb's legs getting 70 yards last week and pick him up all those first downs on third down maybe do to what Brian Flores wants to do against him in terms of pressure?
Well, the thing about it is now I'm thinking of Brian Flores. Do I have to keep a spy at home? Instead of being able to have an exotic line of scrimmage with multiple bodies on the line of scrimmage, do I have to keep one at the second level at all times in case Caleb decides to run with the ball? And then that kind of helps the offense because there's a limited amount of blockable bodies up at the line of scrimmage. So, and then you have to be concerned about the assets that they can, Jeff Joniak's word, deploy at the offensive line of scrimmage. Because when you're talking about the amount of quality receivers they have, receivers out of the backfield, listen, you better fulfill those concerns as well. And if you get a guy that is 36 years old in Harrison Smith and you think that he can match up on one of these receivers all game or have individual responsibilities against a tight end like Cole Kmet or Gerald Everett, you're kind of fooling yourself.
So in the 2 games that they gave up the most rushing yards this season, that happened to be Week 7 against Detroit. They got beat 31-29. They gave up 144 yards. That's a pocket-throwing quarterback, obviously, and Jared Goff. Then against the Rams the following week, they lost that game as well. Lost by 10, and that's Matthew Stafford, a pocket-throwing quarterback. They ran for 107 on 32 carries. Didn't get a lot of yards per carry, but they managed to hit that 100 mark. They did again against San Francisco, but San Francisco won that game. I'm looking. They played the Giants, Frisco, Houston, Packers, Jets, Lions, Rams, Colts. But Anthony Richardson didn't play in that game, if I'm not mistaken. So they haven't played a quarterback like Caleb.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, when you go back and you watch the Jets game and you look at Aaron Rodgers use his instincts against this Minnesota Vikings, it's not necessarily he had greatness thrust upon him in that game, but he knew the avoidable. He knew how to extend protection. He knew how to step up in front of the rush. And so there's kind of interesting aspects that you have to look at depending upon the quality and the athleticism of the quarterback that they're playing against. But as you mentioned, Caleb is super creative with his feet. If he understands the same instincts that he did last week against Green Bay, and he knows exactly when to eject the pocket, all of a sudden that makes me suspicious as a defensive coordinator if I have to start laying off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's an interesting chess match, and it's Thursday, so that means it's Coordinator Thursday, Tom. Thomas Brown at the podium today didn't want a lot of flowers about what was accomplished in that game offensively in light of the loss. Here he is, Thomas Brown, second time at the podium this year as Bears offensive coordinator.
There are no attaboys in this game. We played a game to win, and we came up short. But I want to start first by saying how much I appreciate the response from our coaches and our players because last week on Wednesday really challenged the entire group, all the coaches, including myself, all the players to do more, to give more, to be accountable, to practice harder so we have an opportunity to go play well. And those guys did everything we asked them to do. And so it's obviously frustrating when it comes to, not being able to get the result we wanted. But I'm excited and encouraged to continue to do a really good job trying to lead the group and build upon that. And we have a great challenge this week that I'm excited about against a top-tier defense that plays aggressive. So we continue to keep talking about the principles that lead towards us playing well, starting first with how we prepare, the mentality behind it. And, football is a violent game, and it rewards those that play the game violently. So taking it from a preparation standpoint throughout the week to hopefully show them the right way on game day. It's hard to find weaknesses in this defense. They do a really good job. I don't know Brian Flores all that well, but I've met him a couple of times. I think one of the biggest compliments you can get as a coach is your unit takes on your personality. And so they are aggressive. They are attacking. They are opportunistic. And so it's going to be important for us to go into the game, to me, always first and foremost, play with no fear. We're not going to coach scared. They're going to play scared. And so to me, that starts first with preparation because fear and faith only exist in the future. So why fear what hasn't even happened yet? So I think about our guys being able to have confidence in the game plan, to build that based on preparation throughout the week. Then on game, they let it rip, man. We don't fear failure or fear mistakes. You learn from those opportunities, and they continue to keep swinging.
Thomas, Caleb said the other day what felt different with you calling plays, and he said we felt like we were more in control. You've been on the headset now the entire season, but to be in that spot where you're calling plays, did you feel that same? And what would control look like for you?
Yeah, man, I felt good. I think it all starts with how you prepare. To me, when you get to game day, you either done enough to give yourself a chance to play well or you didn't. So I kind of had good peace of mind just based on what we did throughout the week, the game plan put together. And again, my goal is always to put us in the best spots for our guys to make plays based on tendencies, based on how we set the game up, based on formation, motion variations. So I definitely believe in, marrying and running a pass, marrying formations and motions. From a defensive standpoint, they're basing a lot of their calls off of obviously your previous tendencies, which I had none before this game here, obviously, but also off of just your alignments, 2x2, 3x1, formation to the boundary, similar motions. So trying to do a really good job of, put a seat down in the minds of the defenders before the ball snaps to give us an advantage to be able to go play more aggressive. But the sequence was about obviously attacking the defense, getting our guys involved early in the game, so we got to spread the wealth around. But obviously make those guys to defend every blade of grass when it comes to the vertical passing game, to keepers, to screens, to the run game as well, and also ball out plays.
So you didn't simplify the offense, but how did you want to make sure you clearly communicated on Sunday? First time he's hearing your voice and you guys are making that transition together.
I think it's a work in progress throughout the week. I think just making sure that I'm communicating clear and concise to him and also asking him for his feedback. Just as far as, do you want some reminders in the headset about this particular play? Do you want a reminder about a motion snap point? That's my job, again, to alleviate stress off of him. I think as you design an offense and call a game, I want to try to find ways to alleviate stress off the two most stressful positions, which is the O-line and the quarterback. So we can do that through the use of shifting motions. We can do it, obviously, through the run game. We can do it through the use of screens, but also how many ways can we design unsackable plays? That's, always the goal. Ball out mentality, let our guys play in space. He can be decisive because decisive is effective.
Well, with regard to Adam's question, are there wrinkles that you can add incrementally each week that are, what you want to do, each week, or can you only basically run Shane's offense?
Yeah, I definitely understand the question. The wrinkles I want to add is whatever's best for our team. So it's regardless of what I may want to do, because it's not about me. And I think about, again, where we are right now, what our guys have time on task with, and what we continue to kind of put in place as far as what we've done throughout the entire season with being able to kind of marry some stuff up, dress it up differently, give a defense a different presentation to get the stuff we've been doing time on task with.
So do you know things that, like, next year you would do totally differently than what that you can't do now that you want to do in the back of your mind, or the things like that? Is it that much different?
And I wish I had the luxury of thinking about next year. But I definitely understand, what you're asking me. But honestly, I know it sounds like Coach speak, but I am where my feet are. And today we have a great opportunity to go have some situational work in third down. Just got done working some 2 minute. And in the off season, when I kind of do my brainstorming, thinking about what I want to do, I think about what I have to do now. That's what the most important thing.
All right, so love everything he has to say. He says all the right stuff, Tom. Does he not?
He does, but he's not prepared. He doesn't know these questions beforehand. He's answering off the top of his head, and he sounds super intelligent and really succinct to the point of what they're asking him. The only question I didn't like is about next year. Listen, man, keep that. That's not even in your windshield. And then the thing he said about tendencies. They don't know his tendencies. So analytically, they can't prepare in that portion of, investigative football right now, because they're just getting to know Thomas Brown and how he calls football game. And, he's not going to make wholesale changes in this offense. He's going to do exactly what they've been practicing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of weapons to choose from, a lot of things to implement, and he speaks his mind right to the point. Love it. That's Thomas Brown. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and this is Bears Weekly. Coming up next, our interview with Terell Smith, the Bears' second-year cornerback. It's all here on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by IGS Energy. Welcome back to Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. We're brought to you by IGS Energy, and our special guest this week is the man they call Smitty, or Tea Time, as I found out from the University of Minnesota, Terell Smith. How you doing, man? Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Appreciate you.
Let's go through those right away. Tea Time, how'd that start?
So that started back in high school when my track coach started calling me that probably like my sophomore year in high school, and then it just stuck.
Yeah, tea time, because when it's time to go, you won the 100-meter, right? In the state?
Yeah.
What'd you run it in?
10:32.
Not shabby, my man. What's your 40 time?
4:41.
All right, that works for me. And then Smitty is from head coach Matt Eberflus. Is that taking root in this building?
Oh, yeah, that caught on real quick. Yeah, like first day or two.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, really. You like it, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Every single person that I've ever grown up with in my life that their last name is Smith, they immediately became Smitty. So that's something kind of you're born with. Hey, Terrell, so my brother-in-law played 11 years for the Atlanta Falcons, and he lived in Gwinnett County.
Oh, okay.
And I remember this big water tower above the city, and it says, Gwinnett is great.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make it from Gwinnett to Minnesota?
Coach Fleck, I just had a really good relationship with Coach Fleck, and like just the whole recruiting process with him was just really good. And that was like the main question that like during the whole draft process too, everyone was asking me like, why did I go all the way to Minnesota? But I enjoyed my time there. I really like Coach Fleck, and so that's why I went out there.
It's a great program. So Jeff and I have been broadcasting for the Bears for a long time, and we've actually broadcasted games within your college stadium. In some of the coldest weather that we ever been there was an outdoor game there in Minnesota. Do you think that the time you spent in the cold weather in Minnesota has benefited you playing in Chicago and some of the conditions you have to play in?
Oh, most definitely, yeah, because I think it's colder there than here, and then playing outdoors, like, I think the coldest game I played there was like -2, like my senior night, so yeah, most definitely.
How did Fleck treat the cold weather? Did he make you guys practice outdoors all year round, or did you have an indoor facility that if conditions were cold enough, you guys would go inside?
So we had an indoor, but like we'll practice outside probably like twice out the week. So like 2 of the like 3 practices would be outside, and then like the Wednesday practice or something would be like in the indoor. But other than that, we were outside.
Hey, Tom, we know what game that was. It was the coldest I've ever been. So Metrodome, roof collapsed because of the snow.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So we had to go. It was a night game. We had to do our TV show outside the stadium, and I've never been colder. I shivered so much I could barely speak for the live show. It was at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
So we get to the game, and I'm like, Tom, I don't know. This is going to be a hard game to call. And the game almost got canceled because the field was so iced over. It was so hard. The players thought it was going to be dangerous. But that was the game. 2 things happened. Corey Wooten, a Bears defensive end, sacked Brett Favre. And that was the last play he played in the National Football League. And Devin Hester broke the punt return record in that game. I don't know if you remember any of that or heard about it from the University of Minnesota. But, I mean, lots of respect for playing outside. And I've often put on old YouTube videos of the Vikings playing in the old Met. I don't know. Did you ever play in the Met, Tom?
Oh, no. The super old one.
Yeah, the Bloomington. Yeah, how do you guys play in that cold of weather?
I feel like for me, once it gets like 10 degrees, everything else under that, it kind of all feels the same. In my opinion, it's just cold.
To me, I think cornerback is the second most difficult position in professional sports to play outside of quarterback. And when you think of that, the trial and errors that you went through in college, when your college career came to an end, did you know that you had the qualifications to make it as a cornerback in the NFL?
I feel like I did, especially like my senior year. I would say my confidence, I was like everything was just through the roof, and I was just playing really well. So I always knew that I could play in the league, but my senior year at Minnesota was when everything really clicked for me.
So when you came to OTAs and then it transfers to full pad practice, were you going up against receivers in the NFL going, wow, man, these guys are so much better in college? Or because you played in the Big Ten and you saw some of the best receivers in professional football, was it a shock to you? Or did you say, oh, man, I can do this?
No, it wasn't really a shock. It was more so of me, like, having the confidence and going out there, like, knowing that I could do it. I would say just the biggest change for me was just the speed of the game. But then once all that slowed down, it was just regular football.
Terell Smith, our guest here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. Jeff and Tom breaking things down, getting ready to play the Minnesota Vikings at Soldier Field. Did you have a team growing up?
I was a big Tom Brady fan, so Patriots.
All right. See, that comes out of left field, Gwinnett. What? Why?
That was the first football game I've ever seen, like when I was I think it was 5. They were like the first team I seen on TV, so I was like, I'm going to root for them.
Were you ever at an NFL game before you became an NFL player?
Yeah, we went out to, when I was actually in college, they all took us out to a Vikings game. Yeah.
Does it ever get old, that energy rush?
It never gets old.
Do you thrive off of that?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, especially playing defense, like third down, like the crowd being loud and everything. I'll say, it never gets old. You always, feed off the energy of the fans and everything. So it's just, a great feeling all the time.
All right, Terrell, you're on the field. Tom Brady's over there in a nice suit and tie. Do you go over and say hi to him? If you had a Sharpie, would you ask him to sign anything? Or did you kind of walk around with a little swagger saying, now I'm a member of the NFL?
Yeah, I seen him over there during warm-ups. I wanted to go over there and say what's up, but he was talking, so I just kept warming up and just let him be.
You know what's kind of cool, Terrell? So I was sitting on the sideline with Peanut Tillman. And so Peanut, as we were in a conversation, he saw Tom Brady. And as excited as you were as a young kid and a fan of Brady, Peanut goes, hey, I want to go out and introduce myself to Tom Brady. Which I thought was kind of cool, because if you're 35 or 25, it's still exciting to see a guy that you think about that played the sport at a high level and had some great accomplishments.
Yeah, most definitely, for sure.
Yeah, Peanut introduced himself to Randy Moss in his rookie year and shut him down. I'll never forget that. That against the Vikings at Soldier Field. All right, so that being said, when you take the field this week, you got a guy like Justin Jefferson running around out there, along with Jordan Addison running around. These are like a Batman and Robin duo that's as good as any in the league. How do you mentally get ready for those two guys?
Just sharpen our tools in practice. Just make sure going into the game we know all of our alignments and assignments. Make sure our feet are nice and clean during the game. Have good hands and just play football from there.
We both love John Hoke. I feel he's an outstanding defensive back coach. He gets guys to play as hard as anybody in the league. What do you hear ringing in your head every time you go to work or you're on the field that you know it's coming from John Hoke and it's coming back to you in your head? Like all good coaches, right? What is it?
Just him screaming finish to the ball, just playing with tremendous effort, just play the game at 100 miles per hour.
Hey, Terrell, so it's kind of a weird schedule how you face all your division teams towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So as you get into Green Bay and you get into Minnesota and Detroit and the rest of them down the road, do you feel it in the locker room a little bit more, a little bit more seriousness of the games when you're playing division games?
I think so. Like division games, it's just the bigger feeling. Like it means more, I guess. So I would say most definitely.
And it's physical, which that's your game too, you know. Mm-hmm. Can't have a tough defense without corners who like to tackle.
For sure.
So
that's
you,
right,
Kyle, right, Tyree?
Definitely.
Well, we appreciate it. I know your time is limited. Good to get to know you a little bit, and good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate you.
All right,
Thanks,
for Tom
Terrell.
and Jeff, that's Terell Smith. We'll be back with more previewing the Bears and Vikings for Week 12 here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly. With the voice of the Bears for 24 years, Jeff Joniak. On the Bears Radio Network.
Have a new or gently used coat laying around? We'll head to your local Jewel until February 10th and donate one of your new or gently used coats to the 36th annual Chicago Bears Coat Drive. Help keep Chicagoans warm this winter. Jeff and Tom with you here on Bears Weekly. Tom just listening to Terell Smith, and we're getting to know some of these guys we haven't met or talked to really too often in their time here with the Bears. But all the guys in the secondary, almost every single one of them has a unique personality and a confidence that you could just feel it when you're talking to them. You see it when they're playing. That's why I love this secondary. I love everybody in it.
But it's a position of confidence. And if you don't have a special skill set, the athleticism to live up to what your job requirements are, you can't play the position. But again, you have to have a position with the athleticism that's complemented by confidence. And Terell Smith, he's a fifth-round draft choice. He's not a high-profile guy coming into the league. So he has to prove to the coaches that he belongs. And I think every step of the way, he's done that throughout the early stages of his career.
And just listening to Coach Washington today, the Bears defensive coordinator, we'll hear from him in our next segment as well. There's still going to be a rotation, so to speak, with Terell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson at that corner position.
Good. You know, you keep fresh athletes on the field. You keep hungry athletes on the field, because every single rep that you have of being on the football field, you have to have production. You have to show that you know what you're doing mentally and you're capable of doing it physically.
So Justin Jefferson, the Bears missed him last year, right? Yep. He was injured. So he's 10th in receptions this year, second in yards, tied for 9th in touchdowns with 5, first in yards per catch at 15.5, and second with the second longest reception in the NFL of 97 yards against the 49ers. He does a lot of great things, 17 20-plus yard catches, number one in the NFL. And since his arrival, far and away number one in that category. In fact, the most ever in the first 5 years of an NFL career at that position. And, you know, obviously it's an aerial show right now in the NFL for the most part, has been for a bit. But are we even, I mean, we look at all these other wide receivers and you hear people talk about them. Is Justin Jefferson arguably the best?
He's one of the best because Justin Jefferson is making the quarterback. When you look at the development of some wide receivers throughout their career, it's the quarterback that's making the wide receiver. And when you look at Justin Jefferson, his route running, his ability to get open, the crossing routes that they run, he is taking Sam Darnold at the beginning stages of this season, now in the midseason. He's making Sam Darnold a quarterback that he was never able to be in his early years in the NFL. So Justin Jefferson is doing from the quarterback what the quarterback usually does for the receivers.
All right, well, Darnold is playing some good football. He does have some turnover-worthy plays to keep an eye on, and that's something the Bears are going to focus on. Now, from a pass rush perspective, can they get the heat on him? They got a solid offensive line. The right tackle, Brian O'Neill, very good. He's allowed just one sack this season. They lost their left tackle, but Cam Robinson comes over from Jacksonville. We faced him in London. Big guy, likes to steer guys around the edge, make them go the long way to get to the quarterback. That's his strength. But the pass rush, 16 different Bears have at least a half a sack. Let's listen in to Travis Smith today, the Bears defensive line coach, on all things pass rush, including Montez Sweat's working through some I guess, bumps and bruises.
We got no excuses, players and coaches. We're out there. It's our job to execute. It's our job to play the run and affect the passer, whether down it is. And so, like we said, in our position, if you're in the front, O-line and D-line, after the first week, there's very rarely you're going to be 100%. There's always going to be something, but never can that be a situation that takes away from what our expectations are or what we do.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How do you see Montez handle a stretch when he hasn't had a sack?
And the thing about Montez, when you're around him, you talk to him, whether it's his production or someone else, he wants to see the team and the group succeed. It's not just about him individually. Obviously, everyone wants the numbers right there. But when you talk about frustration, we're looking for our number one goal is to win. Win the game, win our run numbers, win our pass rush, affect the quarterback. And I think that's where, whether it's his stats or it's Dex's stats or it's Chris Williams' stats, that's what our goal is right now, is however it comes up, is the more plays we play and the more opportunities we're on the field, the more opportunities we all going to have to eat. And that's what our goal is.
Do you see him individually pressing a little bit, which would seem natural?
I haven't noticed him pressing. I think just the whole group right now was you talk about, or you said reset. I think it's more just the basics, details, fundamentals, intensity, rush angles, hand uses, ability to never stop our feet. I think that's more. When you look at that, that's more just the details increasing the execution, the discipline, the intensity about what we're doing.
Travis, is there some legitimacy to Montez has to make an adjustment this year to all the different things teams are throwing at him? As he's kind of elevated his stature. That is really something.
I don't think it's so much that he has to adjustment. We got to have awareness, obviously, of where people, what they're doing, how they're protecting 5-man, 6-man, 7-man chips, all that sort of thing. But two, it's as he plays and he affects the game, that's why he's here. That's what he does. That's what our defense has completely changed since he's showed up here in the New Orleans week on. I think it's about when he's getting that attention. If we're not affecting him, we're somewhere else we need to be better, is where it shows up. And the more attention he gets or someone else gets, someone else has got to come alive. Someone else has got to be the one that's got to take the ownership about finishing.
Yeah, that's Coach Smith, and he did say, he leads this team in pressures, so everybody keeps their own statistics. Coaches keep theirs as well. So he's still affecting change in that defense and how it's impacting the passers.
Everything Travis Smith said after the first sentence, I could not listen to. All I wanted to hear, it says, we have to affect the run to rush the passer. And that's the key ingredient for the Bears' success on the defensive line, is making sure that they're stopping the run. Ever since they lost Andrew Billings, they're searching for that matchup of internal personnel to make sure that they can become, they can hold against the offensive line, to stop the offensive line so those linebackers can continue to run free. And so that's the key ingredient here, is if you want to talk about rushing the passer, you got to stop the run first. So, Travis, that's the way he started it, and that's the way that thing could have finished, and that's what it would have meant the most of anything he said.
Tom, in 3 of their 5 road games, they've hit pretty good rush numbers. They're committed to the run. They've got 3.97 a carry, but it's enough to get the job done. They've hit 100 as a team 5, 6, 7 times so far in this 10-game season, 5 rushing touchdowns. and 31 big runs of 10 yards or more. So they're getting it done. Aaron Jones is here now, and he concerns me as a pass receiver too in this game.
Oh, I agree 100%. I have all the respect in the world for Aaron Jones. He's a good multi-dimensional back, pass and run. But the thing about it is, if the Bears can – remember last week before the game, we were asking for a quarter yard more per attempt on the running game. If they can continue what they did last week per rush attempt, the Bears can go toe-to-toe with these guys offensively. And so the key ingredient, as much as we want to talk about what Minnesota has done running the ball, if the Bears continue to run the ball like they did last week and maybe even improve against some teams, it's going to help the competitiveness of the Bears offense.
Bears averaged 5.26 a carry last week.
Big.
They're
That's big.
Second best of the season. They had 6.1 against Washington when they ran for 202, their season high, and 5.24 in London against Jacksonville when they ran for 29 and 152. So that's – you asked for it, Tommy. You got a lot more than that.
I know, I did, and I was surprised and I was impressed at the end of the game, but now let's see a repeat performance.
All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Coach Washington as the Bears get ready for the 8-2 Minnesota Vikings here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by CDW. People to get it. Jeff and Tom with you as the Bears get ready for a Minnesota Vikings arrival. The Vikings, I believe, have won 5 in a row here in Chicago. So put a stop to this. Eric Washington, the Bears defensive coordinator, at the podium today with a preview of what to expect from the Vikings.
Excellent trio of performers that will complement this offense. Darnold, Jones, and obviously Jefferson. These guys do a really good job of making this system go. There are explosive plays throughout this offense, and especially from the quarterback position to Mr. Jefferson. They do a really good job of running the football to set up their play-action game. So we're going to have to make sure we're on top of our keys, that we find a way to make this offense one-dimensional. We cannot afford to let this offense have efficiency with their rushing attack, the setup play action, and to execute in that realm, and then also be in manageable third down situations. Sam Bradford, I've got experience with him going back to his time at the New York Jets when I was in that particular division. You know, big, strong guy, can force and push the football down the field. He has enough movement within the pocket to extend plays if you're not on top of what you need to do from a rush standpoint. Our pass rush needs to be extremely impactful this week, and the guys know that, to make sure that when this quarterback holds the ball, that we're in position to take advantage and get some hits on him.
And with Montez, I realize that his presence allows other people to do some good things, but are you waiting for that to show up a little bit?
That's a weekly aspiration and goal. Everything that we like to do starts with our 4-man rush, first through third down and including 2-minute. And whatever we desire to do in terms of sending an extra player should complement that. But we have to have the production with our 4-man rush.
Is Montez, and I know at this time of year, nobody's 100%, but is he playing through some stuff that's making it challenging for him to be as impactful as both he and you would prefer?
Montez is getting himself ready to compete, and no one at this time of the year feels great, and that's not something. And I don't intend to speak for him, but that's not something that I see him dwelling on or focusing on when I watch him practice. When I watch him engage our entire process to get to Sunday, we've got to go out and find a way to be at our best when our best is required.
Sam Darnold's actually been a lot better against the blitz than when the defense sort of sits back. I know you guys don't blitz a lot, but how do you take that information and use that in your game?
It's good to know. I don't know that it'll impact our planning, but certainly as soon as you send an extra person, there are some coverage things that are pretty certain that you have to be in from a blitz standpoint. You're going to be in man coverage. You may be in some type of fire hole coverage where you're 3 under and 3 deep. And so now that efficiency may be involved with the fact that he can really anticipate the coverage structure and the coverage premise of the defense.
By the way, Darnold is the number 1 rated blitz quarterback this year right now, 150 quarterback rating, believe it or not. He's done a nice job with that, so handled that.
It's a breakdown of his distribution. How often does it go to the running backs, and how often does it go to the tight end, and then Justin Jefferson? It'd be interesting to see how he distributes the ball, and what is the coaching process to Sam Darnold? What are they telling him about the immediacy of decisions as long as he sees a blitzer coming, whether it's right, left, or center, and what is his thinking process through all that?
Well, he's got so many options. Now T.J. Hawkinson's back, and that
Correct.
has really changed how they're using the tight end. The tight end numbers have exploded, and it's only been a couple weeks, but he makes a big difference.
Yeah, you look at the tight end play around the league. I think if there is a tight end that's an asset to the offense anywhere around the league, it can be the best friend of the quarterback. The distance of the route, the inability to match coverages with some of these good athletes that are playing tight end. And so you see it all around the league, and it shouldn't surprise you when Hawkinson came back to work.
So here's your distribution, Tommy. Jefferson and Addison, 86 and 41 targets. Jones, 33, the running back. Jalen Naylor, the nickel inside slot, 26. 22 and 22 for the other two tight ends, Johnny Munt and Josh Oliver, who's banged up. Don't know if he's going to play. And Hawkinson just arriving on the scene, but he's caught 13 of his 16 targets already. And then the rest, receivers, the backs outside of Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler with 6, Cam Akers with 5, and C.J. Ham with 2.
Well, one thing as a defense is you're preparing to play against your opponent. If you're formulating this plan of having these certain amount of blitzes, you know where their hot read is going to be. So you have to understand who has responsibility against the hot read depending upon what area of the field you're blitzing. So that's part of the chess game of defense against offense.
All right, let's talk about their defense. We haven't really talked about that in great detail. They got some really good pass rushers in Jonathan Grenard. Pat Jones thought that was one of the weaknesses, and now he's got 7 sacks.
Yeah.
And then Van Ginkel is scary. He's playing really, really well. And he's one of these Wisconsin guys, played with T.J. Edwards. They tore it up at Wisconsin together.
Yep. The one thing about Minnesota, defensively speaking, you have to make yards on first down. Because of any of their downs, first down is probably their most vanilla of downs. And then they get into second and third down, depending upon the down and distance, and that's where you see a little bit more exotic of a line of scrimmage. So if the Bears can have that success and stay in control of the chains by second and manageable, third and manageable, you're going to see a Bears offense that is going to be able to use their assets to attack whatever line of scrimmage they see. So to me, it's more how successful can the Bears be on first down to make sure that they have opportunities to succeed on second and third down.
Minnesota's given up the third fewest yards on first down and a first down average of 4.68, way below the league average.
Okay,
so
but
they're doing a good job.
If this is a Bears team and they're averaging 5 yards on first down, that means so you said they give up 4.68 yards per play. Right?
On average, yes.
On average, okay. So I'm going to round up because that's the way
But that's fourth best in the league,
right?
Defensively.
But what I'm saying, I'm thinking about the Bears' offense. If you can average around that 5 yard mark on first down, right there, you're in second and 5. So that just gives you so much more that you can choose from on second and third down. If you can have a profit on first down, all I'm saying is you can't go into first down, Jeff, and end up 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, because then Minnesota has the opportunity to be a little bit more exotic and aggressive at the line of scrimmage. If you can have success on first down, that's nearly 5 yards. It gives you a lot more control than Minnesota.
At the same time, they're number 1 in the league in average yards to go on second down at 8.7. So the math's not making sense.
Right, but I'm a Bears fan, so
no, I know.
You can look at all these analytics, and I'm thinking out the way. How do you put the Bears in the best position to succeed? Give me a profit on first down, and then I'm going to be in control of the series.
You know that word profit. Last week, and I had it in my notes, never got to it during the game, but that word has been used by coaches in this. Take your profits. Take your profits and run to the bank with your profits. You know what I'm saying? That's a great word to use for this offense right now for the Bears. Just take your profits.
Right. And, that's kind of the way you have to go about, specific down and distances is get what you can get out of it.
All right, Richard Hightower, Bears special teams coordinator, to the podium today as well. We'll hear him in our final segment. Coming up next on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
This segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or a virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Tom, injury report looks pretty solid. Looks like Tevin Jenkins could be back this week at left guard.
And that's good. You bring experience back to the position, especially since Ryan Bates has an injury issue. And Jay Kern, I think, came in and did a respectable job. But, it's always better to have a guy who's experienced at that position.
And then Elijah Hicks working through an ankle, so I don't know what his status would be.
Yeah.
He's been good, though.
I feel bad about that because he's a guy that we did an interview last week, and he's answered the bell and he's playing a good brand of football, and I want to see him. I want to see him there again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when the injury report comes out tomorrow. Okay, special teams coordinator Richard Hightower. Obviously, a lot of questions about that blocked field goal and different scenarios regarding it. He handles that today at the podium.
On every play and every situation that you look at, every team is vulnerable on something because it's about who has the chalk last. So every team is vulnerable. And anything we see, we always correct it. And just like any other play on the football field. So we correct everything. And we didn't get the desired result on that play. And that's disappointing. So I'm hurting for our guys. And I'm hurting for our fans. But we're going to turn the page, and we're looking forward to coming out and fighting versus Minnesota. What I told our guys is in adversity you have and it strikes in life, you got to get up off the mat. You bleed a little bit, and sometimes you bleed a lot, but you got to get up and fight.
And that's what they will do as they get ready to take on a really good special teams unit for the Minnesota Vikings. Punter's got a big leg. Kicker is, a replacement kicker, so they had injury issues there. So Parker Romo doesn't have a lot of experience. He was on the Bears practice squad briefly in 23, so I don't know what his familiarity is with Soldier Field, but he's going to find out quickly. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think good thing the conditions aren't going to be like they were today, because that would be a factor in the football game. I think Sunday they're going to be a little bit more pleasant. So bring them on. Let's go.
And once again, the last home game in a while. It'll be 3 road games then for the Bears. Vikings are going through that now. This is their 3rd road game. Then they'll have 3 home games. The way the division is worked out, teams are doing the 3 thing, and it is rare. That doesn't happen every year. So you just got to work. You got to work through it.
Even as disappointed as and the results last week, I still like the division games at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us. For cornerback Terell Smith, we appreciate him. Thanks to our producers and you for listening. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. We'll talk to you at 12:02, the kickoff, Bears-Vikings at Soldier Field on Sunday. This has been Bears Weekly on the radio home of the Chicago Bears, ESPN Chicago. Good night, everybody. Black and Abdallah are next.